Samantha Irwin, and business is Kaizen Coaching and Consulting, and support people. So people retention is my jam. I love it, and curating the customer experience. And we'll talk about my background before that chapter later.
Hi, I'm Aaron Baumhuckle. My wife and I co-own Solstice Woodfire Cafe and Bar and Catering and Focaccia. And yes. This is actually a really exciting week for us. This is year 20.
Woohoo!
Wow.
My name is Leslie Wilson, and my husband and I own Brick City and Games in the Dalles. And yeah.
There you go.
So what I'm just going to do, oh yeah, you won't be first. I'll switch that, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll ask a question. If someone feels very particular, like they have a very strong answer to it, please answer. Otherwise, I'll just pass it around. You are welcome to say, yeah, what he said, what she said. That's also an acceptable answer. But and feel free to just fill in stories, even if they're like tangentially relevant to the question I ask. I love those stories. But tell us a little bit about your background, because you just said kind of what you did. This will look very different for all three of you, and there are different places where you're going back, and some of them will be different times. But take us back to the moment before this work became your work. What were you doing before you decided to do it? And I'll start with Samantha, and you can choose which chapter of your story you want to talk about.
Chapter 1. I'm a Master's of Arts in Education, and I taught middle school here locally for 13 years, and I loved it. I said middle school and love in the same sentence.
Yay!
It's true. I love that. So that's what I did before I jumped out of teaching because I was frustrated with the system, not the kids. And also, thank you for being here. It's nice to see all these friendly faces. I was looking for my next thing to do, and for 2 years I was pressing in and praying and exploring and trying to figure out what that looked like, what talents I had and how they could be applied. And I bought a hotel. So we bought the historic Balch Hotel in Dufur, Oregon, and Dufur is 40 minutes away. Population is 650. This was in 2006, and the hotel hadn't been open since the 40s. And let's see, is that all for that question? So that's not what I'm doing now. Sorry. So it was empty. There was no furniture. It hadn't been open since the 40s. This was 2006. 21 rooms. But I had the vision. I walked in the back, and I literally remember where I was standing when my heart went. And I saw what it could look like. I wish I had pictures to show you, but it was a lot of stripping woodwork and plaster repair. I went from teaching to stripping wood. And loved it. It was 11 months of restoration, and I tell you, my shoulders looked so good. All that sanding, landscaping, all the things, and then opened the hotel. So there was no clientele, no nothing. There was not any employees or anything. So got that off the ground. That's where I had a lot of lived experience in running a small business, and then sold it in 2015, I think. Now that brings you up to speed to what I do now. So I help other people go farther faster. Yeah.
I'm going to add just a quick corollary, which you answered, so thank you. But talk also about that transition of like your thought process of like going from this to this, of what it looked like, kind of like you shared. I'll feed that to the other two.
Okay.
Gave you a lot.
Yeah, let's see. I'll start with, I'm a high school dropout from Berkeley, California.
All right.
Who dropped out to work in the restaurant business. I was a busser at age 14 and loved it. And worked my way up the line at one of the best restaurants in Oakland, California. And blessed to land there. I did that for a good 10 years plus, and then burned out. Mainly burned out, and realized I was missing my 20s and moved back to California from Chicago, where I was working in restaurants there, and got back into whitewater rafting. So I was a river guide, I was a river bum for about 10 plus years doing nonprofit work. And during that time, I met my wife down in San Francisco, and we, in 2005 was a busy year, 2005, 2006. When I say the restaurant is 20 years old, I have a 20-year-old son, and I also have a 20-year marriage. So, and we moved up to Oregon. As a former river guide, Bay Area is not very, affordable. So we moved up here, and back then, when you moved to Oregon, you need to bring work with you. So we moved up here. I was the sous chef at South Bank Kitchen with Lindsay Gott, and a few months later, we opened up in Bingen. We knew that we were going to get into hospitality in some way or another. We actually thought about B&Bs and hotels and such, and then my wife Kai reminded me that I don't like to do laundry, and so we found a spot in Bingen, Redfish Gallery, and really, when I think about it, 20 years ago, and the energy that I would implore all entrepreneurs to have is to be a little bit naive. We were very naive. I did have professional experience, but it was really that energy and that hunger to raise a family and figure it all out that got us going.
That's good. You're good. No, you're
What she said, what he said. So I recently learned that that Samantha and I are kindred spirits in that I was a middle school music teacher for 20 years. And I also loved those little creatures. They were fabulous little people. And then my life changed at the moment that we opened our business. So the interesting thing about how Brick City and Games was born is it kind of came on a whim. Me and my crazy brain does things at last minute a lot. But my kids and I went to a Bricks and Minifigs in Portland. And I thought to myself, the whole time I was there, I thought, we need one of these in the Gorge. We need one of these in the Gorge. We need a place for people to play. We need things for people to do, especially in the Dalles, which is where I live now. And there are some things in Hood River, but there's not a lot of things in the Dalles. And so I came back and I came home and I told my husband, I said, let's do this. And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but he knows me well enough. And we weren't married at the time. And I said, let's do this. We need to do this. And so we went on this adventure of trying to get a franchise. They came back, we went very far in the franchise process, and they came back and they said, the Gorge, Hood River, the Dalles is too small of a demographic for this franchise. And so I said, I think you're wrong. So we actually kept going. Lo and behold, as we opened in September of 2023, my husband and I were married in September of 2023. We got married on the 16th. We opened 2 weeks later. And together we have 7 children. So it's kind of the Brady Bunch running a store. What else? We went from being told no to now 2.5 years later. We are hugely successful, and I can say that I was very humbled one day when we went to a VIP event at Bricks and Minifigs in Portland, and the former CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, the person who started it all, who lives in Battleground, was there. And he approached me and he said, we messed up.
Oh.
And I looked at him. I didn't really know what to say, but I thought that was really nice of him to say, that he recognized that we were doing an amazing thing. And so it didn't take 2 years of forethought. It wasn't something that I was planning to do. I actually tried to teach and own the store at the same time, and that did not work out well. That did not work out well. My husband works outside of the business and outside, he has the breadwinning job, because we all know that running a small business is not necessarily a breadwinning job. But that's our story.
Ditto to what she said about the husband thing. That's mine right there. He kept the full-time job so I can do my thing. So I definitely want to give you some kudos.
My wife is the breadwinner.
Yeah.
So going back to those very, very early days, I've already heard from you guys some of the external factors of things that almost like you got told no. What are some things that happened? Maybe they were external, or maybe they're internal, or maybe they're between your spouses or finances. What are some things that played in that almost kept you from doing the thing that you wanted to do?
Let's go, Aaron.
Start with you next first. I'll get your notes. It was nice he gave us these questions before. Thank you.
What kept from saying no?
So what almost stopped you
from starting?
from starting?
Oh, early days, nothing was going to stop us. We still are. We're still a couple that says yes. Somebody gives us an idea, an opportunity. We rarely say no. Really across the board for anything. So it wasn't a whole lot that was going to stop us back when we got started. I would say most of the no's came later. When we needed help, actually from the banks. That was the first no. And it was the best no I ever received, actually, because it sent us to McKed. Matter of fact, it was McKed. They needed from us to qualify for a loan from them, and a grant was a conventional bank to say no. And we're like, we could do that easily.
I'm on that.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I think about that all the time, actually, because we're again to the point where we may need an investment. And from what I hear, the banks are saying no, and so it makes me feel a whole lot better that I know there's an outlet to go to. Not a whole lot of no's that were internal, just really external factors of what was around us. Yeah.
I think the hardest no that we got was from our kids. Our youngest just turned 8. Our oldest is 22. So there's a pretty big gap. But our school-age kids definitely balked a lot at, especially mom being gone. And I didn't have teacher hours anymore. And so I wasn't home on the weekends. I mean, we're open on the weekends. I wasn't home on summer break. And so that was a huge, and they didn't necessarily say no, but obviously in kid terms, they balked a lot. I can say that we're trying to expand. We're trying to expand into a bigger location, and so we're barking up the no tree from the banks right now. I actually have a meeting with McKed tomorrow. That hopefully we can end up getting the financing that we need to get this bigger location so we can expand, because we're bursting at the seams. But the no that came from the kids was definitely hard. It was a it was one that took a lot of growing pains. But I can say that now the 8-year-old loves to come and play. My almost 12-year-old was there today sorting cards. They have kind of found their place in the madness, and so this no has turned into let's give you a job, let's give you a purpose, let's make it meaningful for you, because it had no meaning for them. And so once we gave them some meaning and some ownership in the business, then it kind of turned around a little bit.
Yeah, do it.
I realized, and I thought about this coming into this, that some of my answers some of my thoughts are really from 20 years ago me, and then there's now 20 years into the business me. And so what I shared earlier was just how naive and how much passion we were just going to do it. Now when I make decisions, a little bit, I wouldn't say they're no's, but there's a little bit more fear involved. There's a little bit more of, I think, pride of failing. I didn't, back 20 years ago when I was getting into the business, I didn't know what succeeding was. I didn't know what failing was. Now that I have bills to pay and kids go through college and a business and what I think is reputation, I don't know what that is, but that my own self-ego I would have a hard time, and absolutely think about this, just going through this live, with this new focaccia project that I have that's really out of my comfort zone, that I'm a little bit scared.
I'm gonna go back to you never say no, and I was already thinking, my husband loves pizza. So would you deliver an annual pizza to our house? Yes? Oh.
Annual.
I guess you're right, annual,
You
sorry,
can go bigger.
monthly, sorry. You're like, sure, just buy it. What almost stopped from starting early on, the first thing was trying to find the venue, because what I envisioned was, I don't know if you've ever been to Bridal Veil Lakes, but it's a beautiful venue. I love working with my hands. I love working outside, and I love organizing things behind the scenes. And so I thought, I would like a venue like that, somewhere where I can get it all pretty, and then I can leave, and they can do their thing, and I can come back. So the first obstacle was finding the right property, because if I was in the area, I wouldn't want a wedding venue next to me. So there was a bunch of parameters that I had in my mind, like the location, that was a huge one. So that was the first big obstacle, which was a lot of up and downs to try to find something that was close enough but not too close, far away. And then very similarly, the next one that almost stopped was financing, because it hadn't been open for so long, there weren't records to take to the bank. And I remember being very frustrated with the bank. And I'm just about to hopefully publish a book on this story, and one of the stories that's in there is, I call it Henny Penny, because I remember being so frustrated with one of our local bankers here that they said, well, if you have some seller financing and then you come back in a year, and with some numbers, then we can probably loan you some money. And I thought, in a nice way, this isn't recorded, screw you. Why would I reward you with the interest payments when someone else took the risk and caught the vision, could get it off the ground? So I think I actually said to him something about Henny Penny as I walked out, and I thought, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. It's a children's story. If you want to know, we'll tell you later. So there was some creative financing, and the financer in the beginning was actually the Howard and Pat Green, who owned the hotel and had a very successful construction company. So there's more than one way to make the dreams happen. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I did not intend to be so McKed promotional, but if access to capital is one of the issues that's keeping me from starting, come talk to me after, because we have a ton of programs to help support you and guide you in the right direction. And it's not very salesy. It's like, hey, here's what makes sense for you. I actually didn't know that either of you were McKed clients, so that's very interesting. Something I heard from you, and I'm probably going to butcher this quote, but I hear a lot in my head that the enemy of the perfect, or the enemy of the good, perfect is the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
And I feel like I hear that a lot of religions. Like, you want this to be perfect, you want it to be the right place, you want it to be the right fulfillment. Are there any, kind of with that in mind, are there small decisions that you made early on that didn't feel big at the time, but end up changing a lot later, that you feel like, I just went for it, I made this decision, I was worried about how it would turn out, but it ended up being kind of a good decision? Leslie's nodding, so I'll start with you.
Yep. So we saw Brick City and Games as being a hub, as being something where people could come and just be and play with Lego, or we have the video game side, and then we have the hobby shop side. And so my husband and I kind of butted heads a little bit, and I said, there's this back room that we really need to make into just a space, and not retail, just not storage, not anything, but we need to make it into a play space. Whether that's birthday parties, whether that's playing D&D, playing Magic the Gathering, playing with Lego, whatever it is, we need to make a play space. And so we walked into this back room, and if you ever come into the shop, I'm happy to show you pictures of what it looked like. About 4 or 5 different colors of asbestos floor tile. And the walls were so brown that when you took, I took a, like one of those magic erasers, and I erased the wall, and it turned color. It was brown, and it turned almost white. And I learned that this room, because our building is where K Jewelers used to be, had not been used since at least the 40s or 50s, when it used to be a pharmacy. And so I said, I'm gonna do it. And so we went, we covered up all the tile, we made sure it's safe, we put carpet down, I sprayed what seemed to be like Elmer's glue on the wall to basically cover. I spent days scrubbing this wall and getting it prepared, the ceiling, everything. And now we have a space where people can come and play, we have a space where people can come. And I thought to myself while I was doing it, I thought, I really hope that this is worth it. I really hope that this, because my husband is saying, you're spending all this time, what are you doing? And at the time, I just had this vision of people coming back there and play. You walk in there on a Friday night, we've got 30 people crammed back there playing Magic the Gathering, and it's amazing. We have birthday parties back there, we have Lego events back there, and it seemed so mundane to say, we're going to create this space where, and it's kind of the whole cliche, if you build it, they will come. And that's kind of what I keep reminding my husband. I'm like, we built this, and they came. But it didn't, it seemed so trivial, I guess, at that point and it sat for a long, long time with nothing in it. And it became storage, and then all of a sudden it just exploded into what it is today, now 2.5 years later.
All right, decisions. This is a tough one. I think opening a restaurant, binging. Didn't really plan on opening a restaurant there. We tried Hood River, and Hood River was just hard. Hood River was, at that time, even back in 2005, 2006, was more established, and we went to a lot of different buildings or landlords in town, and that's just not that they knew they were more picky about what they wanted. We want Baja tacos from our Baja vacation. We want heard that one before? We want a bakery. And there's a lot I know you should do.
Oh my God, that's the best one.
And so when we went to binging, people were like, "Are you part of my friend, are you fucking kidding me? You know, it was like, we don't care what you say. We are so, I mean, seriously, people were very welcoming over there. It was, and I'm sorry we moved, but no, people were really, it was, and that really gave us freedom. And it may seem like a big decision because when you, especially with restaurants, it's location, location, location. And I know that now. But back then, it gave us the freedom to, similarly, it was, especially with kids in tow, and as a new business owner, you're working 24/7. And so we brought, you know, I was actually just telling our all staff meeting yesterday to our crew this story, we brought the community to us. First off, as a way for us to get to know the community, and then we brought belly dancing, fire dancing. We had a second story with date night babysitting. I don't know if any other restaurant has babysitting.
Oh, you can eat pizza?
I know, you can eat pizza. It's not coming back. It was fun. It was a good time, but for us back then, it felt like a small decision to open up in Bingen, but it was about our culture. It set our culture. 7 years of running the best nonprofit over there, of creating the stories that not only my wife, my family, and I, but our team, our soul crew, community over there that we're grateful for. That led up to our Kickstarter campaign that got us over to Hood River in 2013. Just really, just brought that all together. Of that one, felt like a small decision to open up over there, but it was really big in hindsight. Hood River's a whole nother story.
The common theme is, when I'm working with clients too, it's providing experiences and spaces and community and connection, and that is a through thread from us, and I think as well as when I'm working with my clients, it's the secret sauce. I mean, people need that and want it, so I just went off on a tangent.
No, that's
Okay,
good.
this was a question. What's one small decision we made early that didn't feel big at the time that ended up changing a lot later? Documentation. Not that sexy, but oh my word, it's painful to do, but when I started, I couldn't be the butcher, baker, and candlestick maker, all the things. There's 21 rooms, and then there's an acre of grounds, and I had to develop a team really quick. But at the very beginning, I was doing all the things because I had to figure it all out. How do we want to make the beds? We have a little, it's not patented, but a toe tuck, because I hate to get into places and have my toes all squished down. All those little attention things to detail to curate the customer experience. And then when we started to grow and I had to bring on staff, transferring how I wanted the vision to be executed to my customers and our guests, that's a whole thing where the teaching came in really handy to help people understand and learn. But I would say documenting all of those things and writing them down. It's kind of arduous and they do change, but it gives people something to follow and to guide. So I would say, that. Document.
I have 15 years in hospitality, and I can't tell you how many hours of those I spent writing standards of procedure and SOPs. And they're important. They're not sexy. They're not fun. On the other, they can be fun because you did it just the way I told you. Because I told you to do it. Yes.
I think they're fun because you can add things in there like go look at the video and here's a quiz and a little Easter egg in there to get people engaged.
That's true.
And look at it, make sure I got it right.
Yeah, that's perfect.
They can be sexy.
Yeah, they can.
Fun, not sexy.
I'm gonna the opposite question, kind of the inverse of that, where if we're just asking what'd you do what decision did you make that you're like, I'm glad I made that. What's something that you're like, I finally had to make this decision. I wish I would have made this decision earlier.
I got one for you. I'm a bit of a type A and I like things done a certain way. So
Toe tuck.
toe tuck. Letting go of control. And I was super frustrated for a long time because my staff we would do these trainings, and I thought, you're smart, you're capable, you can figure this out. And the key for me, I saw the light switch go on when I finally figured out the formula for how to fix how to fix your mistakes. Congratulations, you screwed up. How do we change a customer's story or a guest's story from, oh my gosh, I drove all the way from Portland, it was a 2-hour drive, it's super hot, I arrived on the weekend for a 2-night stay, and they gave my room away to somebody else on accident. That's a terrible review. Those mistakes happen. Now, that's a true story. When I taught school, my nightmare was, having no pants on. That was the recurring dream that I'd have at school right before school started, and it was that I'm not prepared. I have my pants on. So that was the recurring nightmare. And I thought, oh good, I'm not going to have that. So my stupid new one was that I would double book. Because there's 650 people in the town, and there's no other place to stay. There's no TV, elevator, phone, pets or kids. It's a getaway. It's unplugged. So people are coming there for a destination. They're looking for something specific. They're not looking for Motel 6. So this did happen, and changing that narrative from these guests that did show up, oh my gosh, I'm starting to sweat just thinking about it. This was such a long time ago. And they also told me that their dog died. Yes, I know. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. I was sweating. But it was solving that problem and changing the narrative to, I first have to fix this. Then I need to solve the problem and meet their expectations. They needed a place to stay. And then what do we do to exceed their expectations? So that formula of rip the Band-Aid off and then fix the problem and then exceed their expectations. That third step of exceeding expectation is so much fun. Teaching my staff that and giving them license to do whatever they wanted, they were always kind of afraid, I don't want to give away too much. So giving them a sandbox to play in, it was so incredibly empowering for them. I wish I'd done it earlier. But now I know. Now you know. Go farther, faster. Maybe.
I'll piggyback on that because mine is the same. When we first opened up, like I said, I was still teaching, and I would get to school at 7:30. I'd work until 3:30. I go to the shop, and I work there until 7. And my husband would work there during the day. He didn't have a job at the time. The shop was his #1 job, and then I would come. But then oftentimes I was the techie person, so I was the only one that could actually do inventory. And you know what my inventory is like. I mean, I have over 100,000 items just in inventory,
Yeah.
and so the tech job was just astronomical, and I was spending countless hours outside of teaching. And then we kind of flipped once we got to the summer. It was like, okay, I can't do this, so I took over the store full time, and then my husband got a job outside of the store. That same summer, I had this friend that kind of would come, and her family played Magic the Gathering, and so she would be there multiple times a week, and she would just start doing things. Like, she would start tidying up things on the shelf, and she would grab a duster and start dusting things. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm just bored, I just want to help out. And I was like, okay, free labor. And so we went there. Well, about a month into the summer, I lost my dad. And it was just absolutely detrimental to me. And at that time, I told my husband, I said, we need her. She knows the building, she knows the business, she knows how to do everything and anything, and she's willing to do it. And so I think with me, it was that same thing. I didn't want to relinquish anything to anyone because I wanted it done a certain way, I wanted it done this way, or I wanted it done that way. And when my dad died and I had to take time off to go down, he lived in Brookings. And so, you know, here I am like 9-10 hours away and somebody's got to run the shop. And I was forced to give that up. And I wish that I would have done it sooner. I wish that I would have thought to hire somebody sooner, because now it's like, she's a godsend. She's still there. And she's just a godsend of being able to do that. And so it makes me think now, 2.5 years into it, what else can I relinquish, and can I now start taking a step back and not do take so much on my shoulders. And so yeah.
All right, let's see. 20 years ago, me, it was 3 years, 4 years into our business, we hired an advisor, a financial advisor, Stephanie Hartman. She's awesome. And one of the first questions in our sessions was, how much, and she said it separately to my wife and I, how much money do you need to make? My wife, sharp as she is, she had an answer. Boom. I had no clue. No clue what that was. And it's from then on that my mindset changed, especially changed once we got to Hood River, where we went from the nonprofit, what I call the nonprofit status, to the business status. It was like, oh, this is more than running a restaurant. This is a business. We're doing 3 times as much volume. This is serious. Now we've got 100 staff, 100 to 125 staff. We're responsible for people's lives. So that's when we really started, at least I started to, beyond the team that we had, managers, started going outside the business. You can call them advisors, counselors, therapists, all the above.
Yeah.
And they all feel like therapy. They're all awesome. If I had a magic 8 ball, I would have started that much sooner. I would have started marriage counseling much sooner. All those things sooner, because you know, especially a husband-wife co-owning a place, you get tired of talking about your business at 10 o'clock at night or first thing in the morning, and these other avenues, whether it's again, financial leadership, or someone in the contemporary of yours in your industry, they're just invaluable. So that's definitely a decision I would have made sooner.
Agreed.
Thank you guys. That's good, vulnerable stuff. I want to ask you, this is like my favorite part of doing these panels in general, is how often you get to talk to like business owners and like really hear about what they built and all that. If you can think back and you can say any point in your careers of owning businesses, what's something about doing this work that no one really warned you about?
Go for it.
No one warned me about. Let's see. That it's never ending. It really, it's really how it's half glass empty or half glass full, kind of how you want to look at it. I'm an entrepreneur, as many of you are, in spirit, and that's what we do. We're visionaries. That's what I thrive on. While I own a restaurant, I don't consider myself a chef. I don't consider myself maitre d', but I'm more an entrepreneur. And what was the question again?
What's something no one warned you about?
Yeah, that's
Never ending.
it's never ending, and part of that never ending. I mean, we're blessed to be in business for 20 years, and blessed that really I didn't find it to be work until COVID hit. Before COVID hit, people would ask me, you own a restaurant, that's really hard. How do you do it? I'm like, that's what I love to do. I'm doing it. And really, when COVID hit is when we were forced to be a visionary, forced to adapt and pivot and do all those words that we learned in 2020. And that's when things started, when I really realized that I need to up my game. I need to learn, keep learning, even when there's many days that I don't really feel like learning. I don't want to try new things out. I just want to rest on my laurels. It's not who I am as an entrepreneur, so I'm still learning and pushing through that.
Having a master's degree, I should have probably known better. But becoming a business owner, nobody warned me about the amount of paperwork, the amount of financial stuff, the taxes, the inventory, the everything, the marketing, the advertising, and the constant learning. Because I was talking with where'd he go? I was talking with Peter, I think it is, about AI and how AI has changed the way I do even marketing, and nobody warned me that at 46 years old I would be a business owner learning how to write or make an advertisement using AI, and the amount of stuff that I still have to learn, and the amount of paperwork, the amount of data that I have to go through, I guess maybe I should have known, but the amount was just astronomical. I mean, just the quantity of paperwork was something I was not ready for.
Yeah. I'm gonna piggyback on that, the tax thing. There's, what is it, like payroll tax, your property tax, and then there's a thing called personal property tax, where they tax your soaps and lotions and all those things. I'm like, what is this? I don't know. So that was a shocker. There's a couple things that no one warned me about that I was surprised. I was really, really surprised to how much we both, I think, I speak for you, we both really were delighted by the amount of the people that we met coming into the hotel. When you're in hospitality, you have this really, really unique view on the world. There were people that came into the hotel that I would never, Steve Bass, president of OPB, or Steve Amon from Field Guide, or a filmmaker, that now I'm best friends with, or a Broadway dancer. It's so fascinating and fun, honestly, to train staff to look at people with curiosity, because that was something that really, really surprised me. After I learned how to avoid what you should do. Everybody has a good idea. You know what you should do. I can't tell you how many. If I had $1 for every time people said that. And they don't know business. But that was something that was really surprising. And then the other thing that people didn't really warn me about, I was pretty naive with. I had this vision that I was very excited to help people get their first jobs. Oh my word, they don't know anything. It's just like the difference between teaching. I taught first grade 1 year and I went running for the hills. My gosh, some of them don't even know how to hold a pencil. So there's so many basic skills that you have to teach a first-time job person that have nothing to do with how you execute anything. Well, they do have something to do with it, but it was astounding to me. Work ethic, dress, preparation, being on time. There were so many things that I fairly quickly abandoned that idea. And then made sure that I had a very mature staff, and they helped when I had some noobs coming in. So that was a shocker to me, quite frankly. I don't have children, so I taught them that I have my own different thing.
Something I heard from you guys all, I'm going to throw in a surprise question. So, gotcha. The never-endingness of it,
Yeah.
for better or for worse. Established businesses, past, present, future. What are some things, because there are people here maybe starting their first thing for the first time. Some people are going to take the next step for whatever reason. What are some things that you are working on now that for yourself, you're like, what am I going towards? What am I moving towards? where do I still need to like find that like bravery and gumption to step up and do the next thing? Where are you seeing that now?
What did he not it? Potato.
Before I answer that, I have a brand new employee working as an intern, and I taught them to vacuum today. They looked at me and said, "How do I vacuum?" It's looks could kill. I think they would be dead. Whew, but we did it, and they vacuumed, so mission accomplished.
Oh my God.
I think for the here and now, one of the things that I'm working toward is expanding, and so kind of like what you did when you moved from Bingen to Hood River. If you've ever been in our little shop, we are bursting at the seams, and we have inventory crammed in every nook and cranny, and we don't have enough space to do what we need to do. That vision of being that hub, of being a place for people to come, being able to come and play, is not necessarily being met adequately. We've had to cancel events because we don't have enough space, so on and so forth. And so right now, we have this new learning curve of how do we grow? You know, if we get this new building, okay, that's great, that's terrifying in its own right. But if we don't, how do we continue to grow? And so I think it's now, okay, we're kind of going, and this feels good, and we're doing okay, but we know we can't stay there. So how do we grow as a business? How do we grow into that hub and make sure that we continue to fulfill the need of our community and of our customers? So that's kind of where we're at to answer that question right now.
One of my mentors is here, and so I'm going to say what I'm supposed to say. I'm stepping out of the business. No, seriously. When I say stepping out of the business, is that I'm learning how to focus on the things that are important to me. That I can't do it all. I can't do it all for everybody. And something that really came out of COVID, especially in the hospitality and the restaurant business, is refining of joy. And so with the projects the work that I do and the projects that I'm taking on, I'm really trying to delineate what they are, what they mean to me. I'm playing Heidi here. I do a teen apprenticeship program for pizzas that I've done for the past few years, and it brings me a lot of joy. Yes, there's a lot of lessons, teaching going on there. I enjoy that, so I do it. I still retain creativity with our pizza menu. I still hold on to that. And then with this new focaccia venture that we're doing, really identifying that, yes, it's a good product, maybe great product to some, but it's really about the business side of it. This one is like, I need this to make money. And that's new for me to have that kind of energy going into something, that as a result, I may not have this kumbaya about the product itself, but what it's going to bring, hopefully for me and my family, is some stability.
Me too. What are you going for right now? What are you working on?
Getting things off of my plate that are not my passion.
That's good.
That's it.
I have one last written question, then I'll open it up if any of you have questions, be thinking of them, and I'll come around with a mic or expect you to shout, haven't decided yet. But for the last question, a lot of people came here, like I kind of asked for, because they want to hear like, hey, what's the inspiration for me to go for it, for me to do the thing that I want to do, that I've been thinking about, what's going to push me over the edge. For those people who are maybe like, I need that little push, maybe I don't know what to do or where to begin, what is a first step you might suggest to them?
Niche. Find a need and fill it, and niche down. You've got to be very, very, it's like jumping in the middle of a trampoline. If you get super close to, if you get in the middle, you're going to go a lot farther, faster, and higher. A lot of people, like when I work with SBDC or individual clients, like they want to do all the things and be all the things to everyone, which I'm looking in the mirror because as a consultant, I'm working on the same thing. But niching down is really what I would say is don't be afraid, because you'll be known for the thing and then you can expand after that.
My philosophy, I guess, is a little bit more of don't be afraid to throw caution to the wind and just go for it. You are going to fall on your face, and it's how you get back up and pick yourself back up. It's how you move forward. The other thing I would say is seek out your community and their thoughts. Because you can have the best laid plan, you can have the most amazing business plan, you can have the most amazing business or niche. But if nobody's there to receive it, you have a problem. And so also knowing your community and asking yourself, is there somebody else that's doing this? Is this where I want to do this? Do I have the clientele? Do I have the customer base to be able to sustain this business? And that's something that you're constantly asking yourself, but asking yourself that now is important. But then, I'm one of those throw caution to the wind and just kind of go for it type of people, and I did, and luckily it worked.
Let's see. Be yourself. There are lots of different ways to go about it. Starting a business, running your business. Just be yourself. The example that really resonated with Suzanne and I is that we're people that wear our emotions on our sleeves, and that's something that I don't think personally I don't think it's very highly thought of. As a business person, you don't let people know your woes. You don't let them know if you're having a hardship or if you need help. So get the help early. There's awesome beyond McEd. There's the community college. There's SCORE down in Vancouver. Like I was saying with the therapists and such, line those folks up and get your team together before. Before you make that leap, then know that just open yourself up to be vulnerable and yourself.
Thank you guys so much. We have time for a few questions. I decided I'm going to have you yell at me if you have questions. So does anybody have any questions that you would like to ask the panel as a whole or an individual from the panel?
Thank you for your comments. I find them enlightening in some areas totally outside of my background. I come from aerospace, big aerospace. But what role did you play? Did you seek out advice from peers and other business owners, or to learn from their mistakes, and/or from her mentor once?
Yeah.
What other advice would you have from that, and how others can learn from that?
When I bought the hotel in 2006, their coaching and consulting wasn't a big thing around here. Stephanie had just maybe started in the area and moved, but so I had to just get involved. There was a what's it called? Gorge Tourism group, I think. So I got involved in that group, and I just sucked knowledge from all these people. And YouTube wasn't a big thing either, so tons of books. So just continually learning from other people, and then finding the people who are going and doing the other work, partnering with like-minded business owners that are in the same struggle. There's a different, it's like if I can't relate to your kid problems as much as she can because I don't have my own. There's an interesting empathy that happens with other people who really know what you're going through. So yeah, books, podcasts, videos, coaches and consultants and groups and whatever floats your boat. Just grab what you can, just continually learn. We're all still doing it. Not always well.
I would say for me, it's been networking. Networking has been absolutely huge. I plugged into the chamber, multiple chambers, and I met a financial advisor through a networking event. I met a couple contractors that are helping me with bids on the new building through a networking event. I've been reaching out to anybody and everybody that I can. There's amazing resources. I mean, you talked about a couple of them, the KED, the SBDC, and kind of getting your name out there and getting your woes out there, as well as just asking questions. I'm walking up to somebody and saying, you know, hi, my name's Leslie, what's your name? And don't be afraid to ask and network, and that has been a huge, huge thing for me, is networking.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. At least I never found ourselves to be in a box that matched a lot of other restaurants, and so a lot of the associations were what I felt to be more corporate, more chain folks. But I was part of Orla for a few years, Oregon Restaurant Leisure Association, which does not sound like Solstice at all. But through them, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about corporate structures that I can implement in my business. And I was referred to a mentor there who I now meet with regularly on Fridays. And it's just a great conversation. Let's see, when we first opened SCORE, someone drove out from Vancouver just to talk shop with me. And then, I agree that it's Hood River, rural, professional Oregon. It's hard to we didn't find it challenging. But that said, we're now working with Gorge Leadership over in White Salmon, and we're very thankful that there's an outlet here in the Gorge with this same. I think it's an energy. It's that entrepreneur energy, just that professional energy that since 20 years ago with Stephanie that we are receiving. That I think a lot of folks find they have to drive down to Portland for. To get that kind of oomph, and we're thankful and love it.
Any other questions?
Was there a day when you woke up and you was like, I'm done, cannot do that anymore?
Every day at 3 a.m.
Like with your business, you train, it was too much paperwork, it's never ending. Like, was there a moment where like, okay, I'm done, I'm just gonna go back to be a teacher, to be a whatever, because business takes you all,
Yeah, it does.
right?
It does.
What kept you going? If you're not, then you're lucky, but if you ever had that moment, what changed that? What kept you going?
I'm sure I did, but I have a little bit of a selective memory. Jeff, do you remember? Can you answer that?
Well, I just locked the doors and walked away, and you couldn't get out.
I'm sure I had moments because I lived in the hotel for a number of years because we were so far in the hole to start with. It was insane. I'll think on that. I'm sure there was, but I couldn't leave. I mean, I guess that's it. I just had to push it aside and push forward. I guess that's my answer. There wasn't there wasn't an easy exit plan. I couldn't just shut the door. I owed a big amount of money, and I had these employees that I was responsible for, and weddings and events were already scheduled, so I just had to keep going forward. Yeah. Anybody else?
God, still love what I do. Still have the passion. I mean, there's definitely this morning where I slept in extra half hour that I needed that extra 30. Quite a few days like that actually.
Yeah.
I got a puppy dog who keeps. I do things now that keep my mind off of the business deliberately. Turn off the phone, but there's still days where I want to say fuck it.
Yeah.
And yes, there is financial incentive to keep going, but for the most part, we have what we call the restaurant. We've got good problems and bad problems, and I love the good problems still. I still love having to deal with a marinara that's out of whack, that needs fixing. There's still a lot of problems that I thrive on. I still thrive on that energy. I worked the pizza line a couple days ago, and it just brought me back to being 14 and doing it. There's many 3 o'clock in the morning moments where I'm like, I'm so done. I get down to work and I love it, and then I get a little tired around 2 o'clock, like I can't take it anymore. And I go home and oh my God, I got to deal with bills at home, and then I go back to work, and that whole life.
It's never ending, right?
Never ending.
Yeah,
It's
never.
life.
Yeah.
I think if there was a little regret, if that's the right word. It's maybe not the right word, but as a teacher, I was the breadwinner. And then now as a small business owner, I am not. And so, when I think about the financial burdens and stuff that we've dealt with over the last couple of years, there's maybe been a little regret of giving that up. Was that really the right decision? Did I really make it was questioning my choice as a entrepreneur of did I do the right thing? And then you walk into the business and somebody walks in and they remind you of why you're doing what you're doing. And so then that regret, that question, that everything kind of goes away. So I think we kind of have all felt that way in a certain sense, but then it's slowly it just gets overcome by the business.
There was a pivotal moment that I had a realization, because my husband was working full time and we were living in a trailer for the second time of our lives with a dog and 2 cats in a parking lot for a project that I was passionate about. We're married 25 years this summer, yay, so it lasted. But I do remember, and this speaks to how you get different support. I remember he was my main support, so any kind of verbal vomit that I did, he got to hear. And early, or before we did lots of marriage counseling, right, I didn't know to say, oh, this is just for me to unload, and he would try to fix the problems. And I noticed after a long time, many years, it took me a long time, but he was getting very fatigued, and there was a moment where I quit something and I quit complaining or telling him my problems. And that was a pivotal, new word, a pivotal moment for me as a woman leader to step into it and own responsibility, because I was, up until that point, I was subconsciously leaning on him to run my passion. And there's a lot unpacking with that, but when I made that decision, I saw how much just my relying on him telling him what was going on and trying to solve problems or complaining about employees or whatever it was. And I stopped doing that. Our marriage got better, and I became a better leader. That was a big difference.
That's good.
I have time for one more question.
Yeah, so I'm really curious about in like your earliest days of starting a business, how did you bring, you've already answered this question, how did you bring customers in? What are some things that maybe worked and what are some things that maybe did not work?
That's a great question. All these questions are fantastic. I didn't have a marketing budget. I didn't know what it should be. I ended up talking to Therese, who was, Teresa, she did weddings at the Columbia Gorge Hotel, and she was talking to me about, oh, you know, this percentage of your budget should be for marketing. And I was like, oh yeah, I got that. I had no idea what she was talking about. I was not the numbers person. I'm the visionary person. That's what I was. So, oh God, I just lost my train of thought. What did you ask?
How do you get customers in?
Oh my gosh. That might be menopause. How do I bring customers? So after 11 months of restoration, so much sanding, so much stripping woodwork, so plaster repair, window reglazing, furnishing, landscaping, I did not have a marketing budget. So the far and away, and I stand on this, I will stand on this mountaintop until the day I die, the best thing that brought business, yes, we have to always continually market, but it costs 6 to 7 times, it's 6 to 7 times more expensive to attract a new customer than to keep an existing one. So for us, providing a consistently excellent customer experience and really meeting the needs of our guests and exceeding them, especially when it's our ideal client, they became our marketing mouthpieces, and they came again and again and again. Beth Harrington and Andy Lockhart are the ones that came to Doofer 10 times in 3 years because of that thing. Now, we made plenty of mistakes, but you know, I'll tell you that that's the one thing that really helped, was exceeding people's expectations and providing that great customer experience.
Well, let's see. First, my wife, Suzanne, had 20 years of marketing branding experience.
Oh, nice.
And beyond that, she's just phenomenal at it. She's, amazing. My role in it was as a hustler. I was desperate. If the power went out in Bingen, we had a wood fire oven. I was the guy in the pizza suit out on the street, waving a sign. There's pictures of it. Waving a sign, getting people to go down. It was guerrilla marketing. It was everywhere. Going to coffee shops, even just going to the Dog River for coffee in the morning. Very good chance if I saw Heidi there in the morning, I'd see her in the restaurant at night. I was just getting out in the community. Community was the other big piece, was relationships. That's what I want to look at in the room here. I see Victor, fantastic human and musician. Used to play at the restaurant and got to know his community, playing at the restaurant. Ben Bonham, all those folks. Jesse Larvick, getting to know the farm for us, a lot of the farmers in that community. Pete Siragusa came in first month open at a potluck we had at a restaurant. Yeah, we had a potluck at a restaurant. And but we got to know his community of farmers, the orchardists, and his name's now all over our menu. But just really, getting to know people.
Yeah.
And cultivating those relationships, and for us is on both sides of the river, in Vidal, everywhere, just doing different things.
And I would say yes to that, is building the relationship with your potential customers, potential clients. Since we're kind of the little baby entrepreneurs, and we've only been in business for a couple of years, we really relied on social media Instagram and Facebook and building our website and kind of directing people there. We put, I mean, I just use my people skills, I guess, in putting questions out there, and then I would ask people how to market, and we would, even before we were ever open, I would put it out on Facebook, and we have a picture of our ribbon cutting, which we did literally before anyone ever entered our doors, and there were probably 75 to 100 people there waiting to get into our door the very first day that we opened. And that was
Nice.
that was cool, and that started it all. And so we knew that the marketing on social media was effective. We did marketing on radio. I didn't see a lot of effectiveness in that, but it could have. We have done, and also with word of mouth of people just coming back and people saying, you know, hey, there's this great store, there's this store, there's this great hotel or this great restaurant. And so creating that experience and then having them come back is important.
And then another thing for us is that if people didn't come to us, we pivoted and we started catering and doing the farmers market and things like that. So we quickly adapted to go into where the people were and making that decision. Maybe that's for other businesses through a website, through selling online, but for the restaurant, that was our avenue.
And pivoting on the events that we had, that we gathered, like, you know, you're right, meeting with Jesse and having Victor and folks come and play, but having an event at the hotel with, like, if my ideal client is as of a certain age with a certain income, and then we have an event like we had a music series, we had a supper club series, it brought in really efficiently other people who maybe we wouldn't have reached in another way, but through that person or that event or that great musician, then they brought their own little tribe of people. They attracted their tribe of people. So those things were really important. It's all about, I don't know, it's all about relationship and people, in my opinion.
That is actually a perfect segue, because these three are going to stay around for a little bit after we wrap up here. If you have a question that you didn't get to ask them in person. I know they all have lots of stories that they would love to share with you. Get to know someone else in the community, build another relationship, meet someone that you didn't know before. And I'm going to do my personal plugs as well. Yes, part of what I do is host these events so people get to know each other. We also navigate for people. If you're looking to start something and maybe you need access capital, maybe you need mentorship, maybe you need to build your business plan. We do all this, and we don't charge anything. Come talk to me, say hi. We'll schedule some time, and I'll help just kind of point you in the right direction. Connect you with Mid-Columbia Economic Development District, with our loan fund. We have lots of options. Talk with these guys. Let's work with them. And this is also going to be a plug. I'm going to throw the slideshow up again. We're building our own mentorship here for the Gorge, for people who know Gorge businesses, who know what it takes to run a business here. We're building the mentor side first. So if you've been there, if you have done it, I encourage you to scan the QR code as it comes up. Sign up to be a mentor. Once we have a good pool of that, we will start connecting with people who are interested, because I'm assuming there's going to be more people who want to find a mentor than be a mentor. So that's a call for you. If you've been there, be a mentor, sign up, and do that. Let's get one more round of applause.